Matt already found us. I don't know. Good afternoon and happy early Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, Jesus. Happy Halloween. These holidays by way too fast. My birthday happens on September 3rd. The next thing I know, I'm seeing Christmas ornaments in mid October. It just blows my mind how fast uh, the market for, hey, we'll pay attention to this holiday, but let's skip Thanksgiving and go straight to Christmas because we can make them spend more money. That always drove me absolutely up the damn wall.
Yep. It's how they make their money.
Unfortunately, I kind of get violent around those. Uh, the people that stand outside of Walmart and ring bells, for the army.
Salvation Army.
Yeah, Salvation Army or whatever they get. Man, every time they ring a bell, I just want to take that bell and shove it down their throat. I don't know what it is. I'm sure they're great people, but bell throat equals bad time. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Good.
How you doing?
What's happening, man?
Same old. How you guys doing today?
Not too bad. No complaints.
How about you, Connell? You're here?
I'm here.
Okay.
I almost, cut myself at least 7 or 8 times today with a pointy knife. So, I'm just happy to be here. You ever had lobster bisque before?
No. I know it's served cold. Other than that,
it can be served warm. It can be served warm. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, lobster bisque is amazing unless you're the one having to make it because you have to get whole lobsters, you have to break them down, and it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I know breaking down a lobster is like kind of a thing, and to do it efficiently is kind of a learned thing. So.
Yep. So, are you ready for Halloween? Are you and the girls have their plan what they're gonna do?
I don't think we have any real definite plan this year, so I'm sure my daughter's probably just going with one of her friends or something this year. She's 15 now, so the days of me running around trick or treating are probably gone. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I think my daughter got tired of me walking around trick or treating at age 10. She now goes with a friend of her. A friend that she has and her parents, and I don't know. But I'm like, they take you to all the wrong neighborhoods, and my daughter's like, why do they take me to the wrong neighborhoods? Because I know who will give you the whole candy bar, not just those little bitty candy bars. I know where the rich neighborhoods are, but she has more fun with her friends. So
yeah,
that's what it's all about, guys.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a bit late, but things.
It's all right. Yeah, it is what it is. What's your plans for Halloween, Jack?
Don't know.
Come on.
No, I actually don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They have plans.
But,
all right, let's get. What?
Nothing. Just glad to be here reviewing the Air Bud movie.
Air Bud, you're so funny.
That was pretty good, Jack.
And Air Bud. You see, you would like Air Bud because there's an actual dog in that movie.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Teen Wolf. Now, me, your dad, and I'm sure Mark have seen this movie multiple times before. I grew up at least watching this movie on Halloween over the years because it was a Halloween classic. That's suitable for kids, I should say, because Michael Myers and the rest of them, not so much. But what about you? How many times do you think you've seen Teen Wolf over the years? Or did you watch it with your girls, Mark?
No, I don't think my daughter's ever seen it, and whether or not my wife's seen it, can't say for sure. But I mean, I've seen it a few. I remember seeing it in the movies, and I think they released it after Back to the Future. Did they or did they not? I can't remember.
For some reason, that is a damn good question.
For some reason, I thought Back to the Future came out, and then I don't think Michael J. Fox was too happy about this one coming out after he broke out big in Back to the Future. But I could be wrong.
But Back to the Future popped in '85. Hold on. That was a damn good question. Back to the Future came out in '85, and Teen Wolf. Yeah, this came out the same year. He had a double feature that year.
Okay. So, yeah, I remember going to see this in the theaters, and for some reason, it seems like I remember Back to the Future came out. It seemed like it came out beginning of summer, and I don't know. So I thought this one came out in the fall of that year, but I may have them reversed. I don't remember for sure, but yeah, I remember seeing it initially when it came out in the theater, and then I've seen it on TV or video, I guess, a couple times over the years. I remember there was a Saturday morning cartoon for it.
I remember that too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that was pretty weak, but yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, He-Man, Dungeons and Dragons, Teen Wolf. I mean, they were all roughly around each other, and Thundercats. It was just, well, unfortunately, the Teen Wolf cartoon then, the Teen Wolf cartoon back then was still still better than most of the cartoons that we have now. I mean,
Well, again, that's obvious. Most things are better than the stuff we have now.
well, there are a few things I appreciate that we have now. Better razors, to shave with. I don't know. I got nothing. All right. So, I don't know if there's being a dog in this movie. I watched the movie twice for homework. I made sure I watched it twice because the first time I watched it, I made my daughter watch it with me. And it was, no, you're going to sit down and watch this with your dad. But why? Because you made me watch those My Little Pony movies when you're younger. It's payback now. And
Oh yeah, that and the Barbie movies, the animated Barbie movies. I saw a bunch of those too.
Feel for you guys. I've been lucky not to have to eever.
Deal with that.
Yeah,
Listen,
I bet Alex has had to watch them though.
I have two stepsons and a daughter. And before we knew Maggie was going to be Maggie, I'm like most guys. I wanted a boy. I wanted, somebody to pass down my stupidness to. Well, God thought better and gave me a daughter who is a whole lot more reasonable than I am. I have to say, at her young age. But no, I made her watch Teen Wolf with me, which was mostly me and her just giving the movie all kinds of hell. Then I went and actually watched it by myself with the 12-pack of beer. And, so I made sure I have all the questions and everything I want, have all of my information correctly. So I know we've talked about claymation movies in the past, and this movie did not have any per se claymation. But I want to talk about really quick the first transformation of Michael J. Fox into a werewolf in the bathroom. I thought for the time that was actually well done.
Nothing beats American Werewolf in London. Come on.
Yeah, that's got to be. I agree. That's got to be the
I
greatest.
can't disagree
werewolf
with that, but
ever.
are you going to show American Werewolf in London to Jack at his current age?
Absolutely.
Okay. I
have
just
no
always
idea
wonder
what
where the line is. Just always wonder where the line is.
Yeah, no, it's tame in comparison to I'm not going to say things we've watched. Blade Runner was pretty rough in a couple of scenes. Some of the death scenes, I forget her name, Zora, I think it was. Her death scene was pretty gruesome.
She did
Through the
not
plate
die
glass.
well.
Right. And that snuggle struggle between Harrison Ford and what's her name? That was a little rough.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? This is what you're gonna do, huh? Okay.
I don't know if it's an age thing, but I was watching something earlier, and they say, people of a certain age just shouldn't say things, any certain words. It's like having, 70-year-olds say, well, that's fly. Or, that was his example. But hearing Shadow say the word struggle snuggles just kind of made me go, that's funny. So you guys didn't care for what?
I said I got used to it. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I thought the first transformation was when they first were showing the first transformation when he's doing it. I thought it was done pretty good, but it was a callback to American Werewolf in London. I think when you're talking about when the skin started bubbling up on him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best. That was the best. After that, it just was like he just appeared as the Wolfman every other time. After that,
it was
go through.
It was kind of little too, okay, fade to black almost. Like, come on, you guys pumped a crap ton of money. Would you give it all to Michael J. Fox? Is that what happened here?
I think they probably did. Yeah, I think they ran.
Well, the budget for the movie, I just was looking up, because I'm curious. The budget for the movie was $1.2 million.
That's nothing.
The box office return was $80 million. So they did pretty good.
Yeah, they got their money's worth.
Yeah, they were riding high off the. They must have been riding high off the success of either knowing him from Family Ties or Back to the Future. If it came after
Back to the Future. Anytime you see one, if let's say here current actor, let's say The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, right? He does a movie that does really well, right? No, because everybody knows him for one thing, right? I'm not going to use any actors, but if you get an actor who has a really good, releases a movie around the holidays, Christmas, let's say, and it does really well, right? And he does another movie, pops over the summer. Everybody is going to have remember him. Well, he did really good in this movie, so he's got to be great in this movie, right?
Yeah.
And you guys strike while the hammer. You guys strike while the metal's hot, and I think that's very much is the benefit for this movie was Michael J. Fox had a great career on TV with what was it, Family Ties? You said,
yeah.
I never watched that, but I remember it, and you bringing it up was like, oh yeah, that's right, that's how we got to start. To be honest, my favorite Michael J. Fox performance was on Scrubs. When he had Parkinson's and he was, playing the OCD doctor. That was, for me, I think that was one of his best performances because of what he was struggling with, and turning it around to play someone else struggling with something else, I thought was pretty remarkable and commendable. He's not like one of my favorite actors, and I'm pretty sure I told you guys the story. In a role playing game I played many decades ago. It was a real world game, and I was playing a pair of supervillains, and I literally disemboweled Michael J. Fox on stage. My characters. So I always have that sort of memory when I think about him. It's like, I killed him.
I love you, Shadow, as a brother, and I take this from that point of view. But Jack, you need to get your dad into some therapy.
I do.
Hey, I wasn't the DM. He was there. I was a supervillain.
I'm just saying,
I had to do the supervillain thing.
Therapy is good for everybody. I will never bash therapy. I go to a therapist because I'm crazy. I do this with you guys. It proves I'm fucking nuts. And past 30 seconds, so YouTube can bite me. Teen Wolf, and I think your concept of what you want for the show has kind of been burning a hole in my ear, because I thought Teen Wolf, this is my reason for Teen Wolf, it's a Halloween movie. Jackson High School, it's a high school movie. It's family friendly. It hits all the right boxes. Now, Michael, high school for me might have been different for it was for Mark and Shadow, and I know my high school experience is going to be a whole lot different than the guy below me. Holy crap. Completely different world.
Yes.
But for you two being in high school, do you remember that? High school being high school. Did you think this movie represented high school fairly with the cliques, the jocks, and the whole idea, or do you think this was high in a pie theater?
Well, I grew up in California, so
Yeah.
a lot of it was pretty accurate. There were cliques that were completely missing, but I don't think this was meant to be a California movie. I was thinking more like Denver, Colorado, or something. With the Beavers as the basketball team. But I did get a chuckle out of the other team being called the Dragons. I don't know if anybody noticed that. The red team at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty accurate. I knew a lot of people that were just like the people at the high school party.
Oh, Styles. God.
Yeah. I was a little like him at times for various reasons, but if you pumped it up to 11, maybe in some things, not everything.
Down by a few.
Well, yeah, I wasn't. I had long hair, and I knew people who knew people, if you know what I mean, and things like that. And I did get a chuckle out of the trying to get the beer keg, and then when they finally get the keg of beer, when they finally got the keg, there was 15 kegs already there. That reminded me a lot of the parties I went to.
The biggest thing I had with the whole cake scene is he gets the cake. Okay. Yeah, Styles gets to a party, and the guy's like, "Yeah, it's going home with you if we don't finish it." I'm like, "What? No." Then again, I do want my return back because I don't know.
One of the things I thought was funny and proved they didn't know what they were talking about was the tap.
Yeah. You always had to pay a deposit for the tap, too.
Yeah.
Right. Well, not only it wasn't even that. With us, we always knew someone who had a tap because their old man had a tap. And I'm like, that was like a big deal.
Yeah.
If you were the guy with the tap, you were right there at the keg because that was your tap.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. You were there. If you wanted a drink, you didn't have to wait in line. It's my freaking tap. I'll just take the tap and bail. No one ever said that, but that was the thing. And I saw a couple of joints flowing around in the party. I'm like, okay, that's pretty accurate to some extent. And the clothing styles and the hair. That's what I liked most about the movie, to be honest. Because the music. Can we talk about the music for a second?
Yeah, we could talk about music if you really wanted to.
There was one song that's ever actually been played on the freaking radio, and that was, Surfing USA. Every other song in that movie was like a complete mystery. I had never heard those songs before.
Either.
I'll be happy if I never hear them again.
Right. There was so much good music. I'm like, okay, you mean apparently they spent nothing from that budget on the music.
No.
I would have done Motley Crue. I would have seen, there's a bunch of 80 bands. I would have at least Kenny Longing or somebody.
Flock of Seagulls,
Right.
the Go-Go's. So many bands that crossed all the genres that everybody could, oh yeah, I've heard that song. That takes me back. You might not have liked it, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it was like they had nothing but local bands playing the music for the soundtrack. It was just like, really? I would be amazed if any of those artists that made those songs ever did anything else.
Well, actually, the Big Bad Wolf was performed by the Wolf Sisters. That's kind of on the nose.
Never heard of them, and that was like all they had.
Shooting for the Moon, Amy Holland.
Never heard of her.
Stilettos by David Palmer. I've heard that name before, though.
not David Palmer, but
Robert Palmer.
right.
David Palmer is a vocal songwriter, photographic, best known as a former member of Steely Dan. That's where I've heard that name before.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. But then again, never heard of him.
Right. I mean, even Amy Holland was. I think to save money, they got unknowns,
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
which is never a
That's,
bad thing.
abundantly-
I think you should always give. There's nothing wrong with unknowns. And,
right. But I mean, they got Michael J. Fox, hot off of, Back to the Future that had Huey Lewis and, other really famous people of the time. They just thought, oh well, he's already got one hit. What's the chances he's going to get another one? Another hot movie?
It's like I recognize a couple of these actors. I want to go with the actors really quick. Not your famous, but I recognize a couple of these actors from other stuff. Like
The Dad.
The Dad. I don't know where I've seen him before, but I've seen him in other stuff.
Yeah, he was in some 80s. He was like always the dad in like some 80s sitcom. I know I'm seeing him from. I can't place him right now, but I know
he
him.
Was Hannibal, Shirley, Dobbs, and F Troop. He was in the he was the caretaker in The Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds.
Okay.
So, I mean, the guy had. I'm sure he's done more than that.
Yeah.
But,
I know I've seen him before. If nothing else, he's been a character actor. I know I've seen the dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
The dad before, and then the other guy I recognized was the guy they wouldn't be able to get away with doing it today. The guy they called Chubbs. Real nice.
Oh, he was on. I know him from the Pee Wee Herman movie, Pee Wee's Great Adventure.
Yeah, he was in that in the Leprechaun movie. He was the guy.
Oh, right. Oh my God. Yeah. With the girl from Friends before she got. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Yeah, Chubbs. Mark Douglas.
And the bad guy, I guess you call him.
The principal or the asshole?
The asshole.
Mark Arnold.
I know he's done tons of stuff.
Yeah, he has. But
he might be one of the more prolific actors from this movie, other than Michael J. Fox. And I was surprised that I forget her name, but the girl, who eventually hooks up with him, the girl next door. I don't think I've ever seen her again.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing her anything else though either.
But with that haircut, that I can see that. I'm like, not to put her down or anything, but she was, she was really cute, but I can't think of anything I've ever seen her in other than that.
Doug Stevens was the guy who played Mick. He's been in a lot. He's had a hell of a career. Susan Ursula.
Yeah, she had a weird name, a weird last name.
So since we're talking about actors and characters, she was in The Walking Dead.
Really?
Yeah. Realistically, that's the only thing I think anybody here's heard of.
Maybe she went to Lifetime or something like that. Did a lot of chick flicks or something.
Yeah, we talked about that Omen that it came out the same year. Now, who was your guys' favorite actors? I mean, not actors, but favorite characters, because we all know how Shadow feels about Michael J. Fox.
No. I don't have a dislike for him whatsoever, to be honest. He's had a respectable career. He's entertained a lot of people, made a lot of people happy. It's unfortunate what happened to him, but he still tried to do things until he couldn't, and
I do respect that.
yeah. But I can't think of other than Back to the Future, any movies that I
Oh, he's had a
went
great
out of
career.
my way to see.
What about his movie with Joan Jett? Remember that one, Shadow?
Yeah, I only watched that because I had a crush on Joan Jett.
Joan Jett.
Was that the secret to my success?
Yeah, he was in that. He was some type of one of them. He played like some doctor, and he was like a big time doctor, and he got caught up
No,
in
Doc Hollywood.
Doc
That
Hollywood,
is
yeah.
my all-time Michael J. Fox favorite movies. That one and Greed.
Yeah, instead of getting a real expensive car, his big status thing was when he was walking around town, he got his own pig or something on a rope. He was like showing. But yeah.
Oh man, I actually, yeah, Michael J. Fox movies. I thought they were all. I mean, The Secret to Success, Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3, Doc Holliday. Speaking of him and Jack's love for dogs, you should have him watch Homeward Bound's The Incredible Journey because he was the voice of one of the dogs.
Yeah, I don't think I think I would literally have to handcuff him to a chair for that.
But what? It's dogs, real dogs.
Yeah, we really that kind of movie's just never been a family thing. Even when he was younger, he at such an early age was just magnetically attracted to science fiction, just as far back as we could think.
I can't fault him for that. I'm just So, with that being said, going back to the actual characters and not the actors, who was your favorite character in this movie, Shadow?
Honestly, I tossed up between Styles and Booth.
I can dig that.
Although there's one character that I had this weird notion that Michael J. Fox died at the end. Okay.
No. Why would you think that?
I don't know. I hadn't seen it since it came out.
I can't.
No, it wasn't that at all. I thought that the kid, if you guys know who I'm talking about, he barely had anything to say in the movie, but he was always giving Michael J. Fox these weird looks.
Oh, the side eye. Yeah.
I thought that he was going to pull out a gun and shoot him with a silver bullet for revenge or something that his family did or something like that. Like when the bad guy, when the asshole said something, I killed your mom, eating my chickens or something like that. I thought that was it was foreshadowing something that was going to come about, but instead it just ended as a typical, feel good movie, everything, happy ending, which is fine, but I just had this feeling, because I hadn't seen it in so long. I was like, yeah, that kid looks suspicious. Am I the only one who thought that or anything like that?
I can see
because you noticed the side eye.
He gave Michael J. Fox's character the side eye a lot, but I always thought it was more of fear than it was anything else because one day your buddy or whoever is a normal guy. Next thing he is this werewolf,
Mm-hmm.
So the unsureness was strong, strong in that one.
Right, but he was the only one. He was the youngest, and or youngest seeming, character in the story. And it was just, to me, it was just like, after the fact, I'm like, well, what the hell then? Why? He's just jealous or something. Nobody else seemed to be jealous except the asshole.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I know. I get you. I get you. What about you, Jack? Who was your favorite character?
I don't really know. I mean, there's no. I could just say like the Werewolf Man, Michael J. Fox, just because dog, but I don't want to.
All right. Uh, so no one stuck out. You didn't like Styles, the girl, who?
It's not that there
Chubbs?
was. Yeah, it's not that there was any that I disliked them all. It's that I couldn't pick out one that stood out specifically.
Interesting. Okay. All right. What about you, Mark?
It'd either be the Michael J. Fox as the Teen Wolf, or I guess Styles for the comedic, funny antics. Was a lot more funnier. I remember when I was younger than now this time around. But yeah, it would be between one of those two. Everybody else is just kind of
Okay. And I'm not trying to be obtuse with this one. I'm actually behaving. I'm in a good mood, which, if you watch me in other videos, I can be ornery. I like this character only because I knew him. Not him as the actor, but I know exactly where this guy is coming from, and everything that he does was the fucking lazy ass coach.
Yeah, you know what? He was kind of funny and perfect.
I mean, I could say Michael J. Fox. I think the real hero of the show is not Michael J. Fox, but his female friend who saw past all the bullshit. She didn't use him like Styles did.
Yep.
She wasn't an ass or a dick to him like the principal, who has his own issues, and Brad, and the Pam, who is basically wanting to get with him because he's now popular.
Yeah, I knew so many girls like that growing up. It was just like, yeah, I could have given you the name of 20 girls that I knew that were just like that from all the different high schools I went to.
But realistically, it's either got to be Lisa, the girl, her real name, Lisa, Susan Ursula, or the coach. Just because I think Susan is the real hero of the movie, and I know people are just like the fucking coach. So for an unbelievable made up fantasy movie,
you know what? I have to interrupt you real quick. The dad.
The dad was too little bit for me.
You know what? He was. I want to know his story. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He had something going on. He knew the principal. He probably grew up in that town, and it just he was kind of cool. He was a good dad, and I really wanted to comment. I liked how they implied that the vice principal pissed his pants instead of showing it to you. I thought that was really well done and classy. Instead of if they made that movie today, you would see the puddle. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, that's probably true, but it's not. They didn't imply it. They basically, you need to be really, really dumb to not get that that's what happened, or have just not been paying attention earlier in the movie.
Right. But for back then, too, that was the classy way to do it.
True.
Yeah, I was about to say, go for it, Mark.
I didn't say anything.
I was about to say, for the time period, they actually handled that really, for a movie that could have been a whole lot cruder, they handled it really well. Poor Jack is jumping in and out.
Now, was this movie PG rated or PG-13? I don't remember if PG-13 was a thing at the time yet.
It had to be PG-13 or PG.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the
I know it wasn't
sexual-
R. I couldn't remember if it's
because of the sex in
PG-13
the
or.
in the dressing room.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That and the implied drug
It was
use.
PG. It was PG.
So yeah, maybe PG-13 wasn't.
I think
The thing
PG. I think PG-13 came out in the 90s. I think that was a late 80s, early 90s thing.
For some reason, I think it may have still been the 80s. Who pushed that pushed the envelope with that? I heard was I saw Steven Spielberg and the Raiders of the Lost Arks movies were the ones that kind of pushed the guys over the edge, needing to make that PG-13 rated system.
I've never quite understood the rating system you guys have in America. I'm like, whatever, bunch of prudes.
Wait, what? What's going on? I got kicked out again.
We're talking about the rating system for the movie. It was PG. Now that movie probably would be PG-13 if they made that movie now.
No, I don't really know what the rating system means.
Yeah, well, I wonder if Teen Wolf 2 was PG-13.
Teen Wolf 2 was something we do not talk about on this channel.
Okay.
Granted, I'm a boxer, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I love Teen Wolf. It was like when I saw the trailer for this one, not the trailer, but when somebody told me, yeah, it was a trailer on this one because I was watching something else. It had something I was into, boxing, and I liked Teen Wolf, the first one. So it was best of both worlds in my opinion. Then I watch it.
Teen Wolf 2 also had a very, it was a much better dance number in it than Teen Wolf 1. Blew the Teen Wolf 1 dance number out of the water. I'm sorry, but
that's not hard. We might have to do if we're doing this if we're still doing this next Halloween era, we might have to do Teen Wolf 2.
Yeah, okay.
Oh my god!
Forget I said anything.
The guy who played Teen Wolf in the second one, it killed his career for like almost a decade.
Justin Bieber did, huh? Okay.
Yeah, they thought that was going to be his great launching pad. Nope. Like NASA, they needed another 7 astronauts.
Wait,
that's bad.
So a different guy played the same character in Teen Wolf 2?
No, it was his cousin.
Yeah, it was a cousin because it had the same sidekicks and the same dad was in it, but it was the cousin. Yeah, Michael J. Fox wasn't going to do
because he's smart.
The thing what they do where they make a sequel about a different character, but it's literally just the same movie but worse.
Yeah. That's what they did.
You have to understand, sequels for a long time. If there was a sequel to any movie, the going thought was it's going to suck. Batman kind of got around it with Michael Keaton's Batman. Batman Returns was good. It was after that one, it went downhill. Doing sequels have actually gotten better over the last, 20 years than what they were, in this era.
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
Some not a bit iffy, but I can think of a few examples.
What do we think of the vice principal? Was he a dick to be a dick, or was he actually, I didn't like him. I mean, he wasn't. He could have been a whole lot malicious than he was in the movie, in my opinion. But he was a dick. What do you think?
Right, but I like I said, I have to wonder. Growing up in that town, and he looked like he was, in his 50s, and he's only vice principal. His life did not go anywhere near where he wanted it to, and it seemed like there was some history that was going on between him and the dad, and we never even met the actual principal. It was the vice principal. So, I mean, he wasn't as bad as the guy from Breakfast Club.
Oh, you mess with the horn. You mess with the bull, and you get the horns, jackass.
Yeah, that guy was a bigger dick, and a better movie. But
better movie. I can't argue that. Better movie.
I mean, that's that is
better.
Oh yeah, exactly. But he was just, the the boyfriend or whatever, Mick, he was way worse than the principal.
Brad. I was wrong on the name. It was Brad. I actually had to look into it a little bit further. But yeah, Brad. Honestly, in my opinion, anybody named Brad normally is a dick. I'm not saying all Brads are dicks, but most of the Brads I've met were dicks.
I've never met a single Brad. I don't think it's a real.
I think it's a generational name. I think it's like Wendy, or it just kind of ran its pace.
Yeah,
Well, I knew a lot of Wendy's
and people
more, but
yeah.
Dorothy. How many Dorothys do you know? I know.
Oh, that's a great fucking name.
Yeah,
if I had a daughter, that would have been her middle name.
But ask Jack now how many Rileys and Michaelas and he knows now. I mean, and Kendalls and
oh yeah,
it's just
but I do know 2 Michaelas.
See,
so,
and he knows a Keaton. Keaton, that's the fucking last name. That's not a first name. Stop that shit. Stop it now.
You can't be mad at the kid about it, but
when I was a kid, my name was considered to be one of the most popular names, in English-speaking nations. So much so that when I took up the name Connell, when I met my ex-wife, I was playing Magic the Gathering at the college, and everybody's like, "Hi, my name is this, and this." Variations of the same damn name, right? And there's like 4 of these fuckers. It gets to me, I'm like, "Hi, my name is Connell," because I want to stick out from these fuckers. But no. But going back, Brad was a dick. But why wouldn't Brad be a dick? He looked like he came from money. He was an all-star athlete, and he was in college or freshman year of college.
But he was in high school.
Was he in high school? Yeah, right. He was in high school.
He got held back because he'd gotten out of jail or juvenile hall or whatever. He was gone for like a year. That was part of his backstory. That's why he was such an asshole and such a bully or whatever. Yeah, he was 20 years old.
So that's why I was thinking he was in college, because he was the age to be in college. My bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I know my share of those assholes, and they weren't always named Brad, but I know that type. So going back to the vice principal, I think he could have been a whole lot worse than what he really was. I think he had disdain for Michael J. Fox's character, but I think he had true hate for the family. But he could just never do about, because it looked like Michael J. Fox's character was just a run-of-the-mill, normal high school kid up until puberty kicked in.
Yeah, exactly. He was, like he said, he was normal, so normal and average. I think any animosity had to have, come from back history with the father, and probably, some knowledge of the wolf.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what happened.
Right.
His dad and the vice principal, the vice principal must have probably known that his dad was a werewolf.
Well, yeah, the dad says the same thing in the movie.
Yeah, towards the end of the movie, Michael J. Fox is, I don't know what's up with the vice principal, but he's on my ass. Dad says, "Don't worry about that. I'll handle him." Me and him have history. The vice principal and his dad, if I'm remembering correctly, chased after the same girl, and the dad got her.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't remember that being mentioned.
Yeah, they made a brief mention of it to him.
It wasn't necessarily brief. It was I guess it was brief. It was like a minute, but
maybe I was having a cigarette break at the time.
Probably, he does that.
I mean, if they did a back or prequel, I wish they don't. I really hope that they don't do a prequel movie. I would love to have it be about the dad and when he was in high school. And
right. That's what I was getting at. Is that the dad seemed far more interesting. That he was willing to, not use the wolf abilities like his son could have. He elected to just be a dad instead of, some sort of, adventuring werewolf, always getting into, shenanigans or whatever. I could have seen that being a pretty interesting story.
I mean, the dad, if you looked at the wall the night that he turns into a werewolf, the next day he comes down, dad's in the kitchen, a table eating breakfast, and it was that night or somewhere around that. Anyways, on the wall, dad was a Vietnam vet. I mean, he had, pictures of what looked like him as in military, and that was the Vietnam era. So I'm going with Vietnam vet. That mathematically, that makes the most sense to me.
Okay.
And I don't know. I think that'd be an interesting, if not a movie and not a TV series, it would be an interesting book. I would read that book.
The Werewolf in Vietnam.
Whatever title, I think it'd be worth just I like knowing back.
Yeah, obviously that's not the title, but that's
what I think movies like this. If done right, could have their own universe if done correctly, and I think they'd be interesting to be done in RPG, like a supernatural RPG, and I think there could be a lot of meat still left on the bone when it comes to that universe, that movie. And I bet you this movie was filmed in Gary, Indiana.
Easy now.
What?
I live about 7-8 minutes away from Gary, Indiana. So
tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. It looks like some small town in Indiana. Either way,
it does. Yeah, it's a Midwest. It looks like a small Midwestern town. Yeah,
I'm a state over. I'm literally a state over from you. I'm in Illinois. My stepkids live in Poseyville, Indiana. Anyways, I don't know. The movie was interesting. I think the characters for the era. Granted, I was 2 years old when that came, but my mom wasn't. My mom was 16 when she had me, so between all the pictures I've seen and everything else, it looked like they were basically, besides the storyline and some of the goofiness of it, the actual area, the music sucked, but the music, the clothing, the cars, everything was accurate. Except for, like I said. Was there anything that you guys outrightly just disliked about the movie, other than Chow wanting him to get popped in the end?
Isn't that enough? No.
He's thinking he has
go ahead, Jack. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jack.
Oh no, I was just saying that I think Shadow is gonna think long and hard about this because I think he has a lot to choose from.
No, I really don't. The movie was cute, not really something I'd never own it. Let's put it that way. If somebody, said, "Hey, I got an extra copy," I'd be like, "Give it to somebody else. I'll never watch it." I'm glad I watched it with Jackie. We enjoyed it for various reasons and cringed through a lot of it. But it was a cute movie of the time, and I think as time goes by, it's going to become less and less watched. So,
it's going to be up there. It's going to be a classic movie. It's going to be one of the cult classics. No. You don't want it.
If a million people watch it in the next 10 years, I would be amazed. I would think it would be like tens of thousands of people would watch it over the course of the next 10 years. It's just
now what about maybe because a YA TV series did bear the same name of this movie, so I wonder if any, and I guess I don't know, I never saw it. Did you ever see any of it, Cigar? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would have piqued any interest with them to go back to look at
the MTV version of Teen Wolf was so for being MTV, which kills me. The people who brought you really good music videos, then they crap the pants with the reality TV. Actually, did a couple good TV series, which just blows my mind.
This wasn't one of them.
What Teen Wolf?
And this wasn't one of them.
This was one of them.
No, I mean, but this wasn't one of the good ones.
This was one of the good ones.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
the actors were
Okay.
actually believably. The actors who were in the TV
Okay.
show looked like they were legitly the age to be playing that characters, not in the movie where all those guys were like in their 20s to begin with. The soundtrack was modern to that era. The music that high school kids would listen to that at that time was the music they played in the TV show. Everything was really well done. I don't think they spent as. I mean, yes, American Werewolf in Paris. To be far, that and How
What?
number 2 rate one
What?
and number 2 ratings for transport. What?
American Werewolf in
just did a-
London. Paris was a sacrilegious sequel. We don't talk
I
about
got that one.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
It was.
horrible.
The best thing
horrible.
about it was its
Bad CGI.
soundtrack.
Really?
Yeah,
Like, okay, all right. You
Who likes
Mark's
the
not
French?
wrong. Mark is not wrong. It was a horrible movie. It had a good soundtrack though.
okay. I never heard of that, but okay.
You know? But Teen
My
Wolf,
bad.
the Teen Wolf TV series was on HBO, not HBO. Teen Wolf that was on MTV was actually worth watching maybe once. And they ventured onto all the other mythologies, all the other mythical creatures that were around. Instead of playing basketball, they played lacrosse, which I think lacrosse looks cool as hell. So Styles, the kid who plays Styles, was so much of a spaz, so spazzy, sort of like it was just really good. In my opinion, it's really good. And also, it's on. If you at least want to watch the first episode of it, it is on Amazon Prime for free.
Okay.
Yeah, I can guarantee that won't be happening, but thanks for the info.
It has a dog in it, Jack.
Wait, hold up. Max was here.
Yeah, Max. Yeah, Max and Shadow and me kind of tore into somebody this past Friday. And
I heard about that. Haven't seen it.
yeah.
Now I saw
Sorry, Mac.
a severely missed opportunity in this movie was they gave no little nod or heed or Shadow will probably remember this to I Was a Teenage Werewolf. They could have put something like maybe he had like this similar jacket in the movie, or maybe he had the movie playing on the TV or something. I when I was a little kid, I loved that movie. I know it was horrible, but that was like I think it was one of Michael Landon's first.
I think I've seen that
roles.
once.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It was a schlocky B horror movie, but I just see it as a missed opportunity for this movie not to pay any little nod to I Was a Teenage Werewolf from the, I guess it was late 50s, I believe it came out. But
yeah,
I'm going through YouTube right now, and I know why we don't.
or even the Abbott and Costello, Meet the Werewolf.
Oh yeah, that's an also good one.
All the Abbott and Costello movies are worth watching. Unfortunately, as time goes by, they'll be they'll disappear.
Yeah, Jack, have you seen all the classic Universal horror movies?
No, they're so. If you try to buy them online, they are so freaking expensive. And they used to bring them out at like Walmart, but I won't buy a movie from Walmart. But they used to bring them out in these special edition, cheap ass, available sort of formats. And now you got to buy like the whole collection, which I don't mind, but I don't really want to dump $100 and get a bunch of other movies that I didn't really actually want. I just want, the basics, and they're always missing something, because there's like 4 or 5 Dracula and Frankenstein movies, And I just want, the basic, 4 or 5: Dracula, Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon,
Mummy, The Invisible Man. That right there is a lineup, and yeah, for Universal.
Phantom of the Opera, and Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I did not actually care for the Phantom of the Opera movie. I've seen it in play in theaters multiple times. But every time they try to do a movie of it, in my opinion, it's bad. But that's just me.
Yeah, and it's not one of the better of the Universal monsters to begin with. So I get that.
It loses something in transition. What was that, Mark?
I didn't say anything.
I keep thinking you're saying something. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm not sure why, but no. Yeah, I just was wondering if Jack. I know you guys are into all the classic monsters and monster models and stuff like that. I was just wondering if he had, because I know my daughter's never seen all of them. If I try to get her to sit down and watch them, she looks at me like I'm crazy. So I
think every generation, maybe not every generation, maybe every 20 years, we get a new set of what we consider classic Halloween movies. Mm-hmm. I mean, in the very beginning, we had the 4 that we just talked about: Dracula, Frankenstein, Werewolf, The Invisible Man. That's where they just need to stop. Those 4, those were perfect. Then 80s, we had Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy, Chucky.
And to be honest, I don't think any of them compare. They just don't.
They're in different ways.
Yeah, it's more about body count and blood, and less about actual fear and suspense. And it's like something got lost in the generation or 2 in between, or 3 or 4, however many generations it was. Just something classy and truly frightening was just completely lost.
Now, Wesley,
okay, smart guy.
I've seen this movie a handful of times. I went to go watch it again, and it felt like I was getting a cavity. I just couldn't watch it anymore. I ate too many sweets. Funny thing, a little bit of trivia on Ernest Scared Stupid, though. Did you know the trolls that they used in Ernest Scared Stupid were actually repurposed models that they used from Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
No, I had no idea.
No idea. That's weird.
I don't think either one of you guys really cared, but it's a little trivia I know.
Huh. That's
so werewolf movies. There's been a lot of werewolf movies out there. God, there's been a lot of werewolf movies out there.
Hey, Wesley, nice to have you here.
Compared to, you can't really. It's weird to say a family-friendly werewolf movie in the same sentence, because werewolf movies normally aren't friendly, family friendly.
Yeah, there's usually some type of clawing mutilation of some type. So,
yeah, they're actually the more violent of all the Universal monsters. The werewolf was the most violent, the most bloody and gory, however you want to word it. But yeah, they were definitely. I could see in a lot of ways, much more frightening, especially to the kids of the time and the women. They must have just literally been fainting in the aisles, kind of thing. I could totally see that, which we need more of. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that thing and that sort of thing and that behavior in real life, but that was a joy to behold.
I remember seeing like a movie. I think it was Saw. And I don't even know who it was, but I saw a girl leaving the theater. And I later found out by one of the guys who worked at the theater, she didn't make it to the bathroom before she chucked. It was the body horror was just too much for her, but that's about as close as I've ever seen.
Mm.
But for werewolf movies, there are certain werewolf movies out there that I think are cult classics. The original werewolf movie from Universal. American Werewolf in London. I think The Howling. I think this is one of them for what it is.
Only if you include Abbott and Costello.
Sure, why not? Wolf with Jack Nicholson was decent. Yeah, it
It
wasn't great, but wasn't bad. Compared to American Werewolf in Paris, is 10 times better. Compared to Silver Bullet,
Yeah,
that was an interesting one.
That one was pretty good, even though
Yeah, I
I
liked it.
despise Stephen King. I can see how, knowing what I know about guns and bullets and stuff, that getting one silver bullet would be an adventure.
Didn't he?
Especially in the Stephen King style.
Wasn't he melting his mini's shadow? Isn't that how he made the bullet?
I don't think so because there's
I'm thinking
really
of
no
something else. I wouldn't think
Yeah.
there'd be silver in it. It'd be pewter. I didn't.
right. I can think of
Fuck that silver metal miniatures. I don't.
I don't think it was ever done. Although
I'm
I
thinking
do
of
have
something else. Then
I
yeah.
do have one of the, when Grenadier, I don't know if you remember this, Mark, when Grenadier randomly put gold miniatures in. No,
I don't
I
remember
have
that.
I have one.
Okay.
And mind you, it was like a
know.
1 in a million thing. And I got it. The funny thing is I got it off eBay from someone who didn't know what they had.
Wait, so you just bought a miniature and like, oh, this is weirdly heavy. Let me remove the paint.
Yeah.
Actually, gold is lighter than pewter. Not by much, but
Right, but miniatures were made out of lead back then.
and lead's
So
heavy
it
as
was-
hell. Yeah, compared.
Well, they're almost
Like-
identical in weight. Yeah, the person actually, the owner who got the miniature actually painted it, and I'm like, okay, whatever, that's dumb as hell. But they painted it, and I got it in a pile of miniatures, and they didn't paint the bottom of it, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, what the hell is this? And sure enough, it was one of the few that were randomly inserted.
That's
What happened
interesting.
to it? Do you still have it?
Oh yeah.
You know he does. Come on.
He often loses stuff like this.
I've got my baby book, okay?
Okay, never mind.
I
That
am
was wrong.
guessing by your dad's age, he was raised by parents that were kids during the Great Depression. So pack rat is kind of built into his DNA right now.
No, both my parents were born in the 40s.
But their parents were.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah. I mean, if you go back far enough, sure. So were yours. But well, not yours, but your great grandparents.
My grandparents on my mom's
great-grandparents.
on my dad's side was over in Ireland. We had our own problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were still born during the Depression.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh, I'm a pack rat. I never will. I know you guys can't see my whole apartment, but I have my Piccadillys.
I mean, you guys still had enough stuff going on to where you could still give guns to the Mexicans. So you had that going for you.
Oh, here we go with the politics. Go from teen rom-com werewolf to politics. Now here we go. Let's hear it, Jack. Come on.
No, I've told the story
Messing
several
with
times.
you. I'm
That's
just
just
messing with
it
ya.
was just a quick jab. Just a quick jab.
Yeah, just had to.
But yeah, I am a bit of a pack rat. When I was 3 years old, I took a part of a brick and 2 pieces of wood and glued them together to make a Noah's Ark. Okay, the brick was the platform, then a piece, and I still have it. It's 52 years old, and I still freaking be carrying it around.
I
He's
bet
been,
you
he's been crafting since he was a toddler. Quick craft
Yep.
since he was a toddler.
But when it comes to other werewolf movies,
Fucking
other
awesome,
than-
Mark. That was awesome. Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think. I think this one, except for the pot, the alcohol, the brief sexuality that you saw in the dressing room. I think this movie, for being a family-friendly movie when it comes to werewolf movies, has got to be at least in the top 4.
No, I don't know about that.
How many other ones do you think are
You got to give me the category what we're rating it on. 'cause-
family-friendly?
Family-friendly.
Family-friendly Wolfman or werewolf
Movies.
movie. Yeah.
That's not a
Oh,
cartoon.
okay. Well, yeah. There's only like 3 to begin with, so yeah, it's number 4.
Monster Squad.
Oh, okay.
Wolfman
Okay.
Nards.
Teen Wolf. I can't really. I mean,
Yeah.
really think of any other ones.
I can't either.
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, the one that came out not so long ago was Sir Anthony Hopkins. I mean, if you take The Wolfman,
Yeah.
I thought that was really well done. It reminded me of the old black and white. Well, granted, for me, it was black and white.
Yeah, I liked it. I don't know if
Didn't see it, haven't heard of it.
Benicio del Toro like championed the movie, but I don't know that he should have been the main guy in it. And I think the CGI at the end kind of pulled me out of that one. But other than that, I thought that was the cinematography and the special effects and the costuming in I think that came out in like 2010, 12, something like that. The Wolf, I thought it was all good and spot on, but it was just that CGI at the end kind of took me out of it. I think they dropped the ball a little bit with that, but other than that, I thought it was good.
Well, now we lost their shadow. I honestly, when it comes to that movie, I think it was Sir Anthony Hopkins that made that movie. In my opinion, get them. What does Wesley say? Get them Shadows of Brimstone Wolf expansion. Make my own wolf story. Okay.
Might too.
We don't have that yet.
What about
maybe
the Hugh Jackman movie, which was more of a vampire movie, but there was a werewolf in it.
Oh,
well, he turned into a werewolf.
Van Helsing, yeah.
Yeah.
Premise started out good, and then it just kind of got.
They just threw too much at the
CGI,
wall.
Yeah, and the CGI hasn't held up too good over the years, I don't think. But I applaud the intent
Effort
behind it, but I don't think the execution went out. I did like that guy in that movie, that his portrayal of Dracula when he wasn't the crazy, animated bat. I thought his portrayal of Dracula was pretty good, but when he wasn't the crazy CGI bat monster Dracula. But yeah, it's an okay popcorn Halloween movie, I guess. Yeah,
popcorn Halloween movies. That should be the name of the movies that we did this month. Popcorn Halloween movies. Thank you. After the fact, there, Mark. Well, I'll just save it for next year. I'll make sure I'll write it down for next year.
I am on it right now.
So we talked about the actors. We talked about the characters. We talked about the music, the place, and the time. And I honestly think it was the place and the time that sold this movie more than anything else. Jack, would you show this movie to your friends if given the opportunity?
Probably not. But I don't really show that many movies to my friends anyways.
Oh, you don't say, hey, you need to come watch this?
No.
Yeah, it's not really a thing we do. Whoa.
Maybe that's a generational thing, because I remember growing up, with my buddies, I'm like, hey, dude, have you seen this movie? No, well, you need to come over, let me plop you down, and you're going to watch it. Did you do that, Mark?
Yeah, I would too, but I agree with you, just knowing the way my daughter is, and I don't know how Jack is or not, but my daughter's like, during the movie, she's like constantly moving or usually involved in something on her phone at the same time. It's like she'd rather watch YouTube than go to the movies, I think.
Anytime I take my daughter to the movies, her phone is locked in the car. The theater house is a sacred place. It's not church sacred, but it is a sacred place. We do, is always been my point of view.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. I mean, you're paying for all of the experience of going to the theater. The least you can do is actually pay attention.
Yeah.
Like my daughter, she does better with. Actually, she'll watch episodes of The Twilight Zone, and she likes that. But as far as sitting down and watching like an old, if it's a 90-minute movie, whatever, she's not gonna just do that.
Well,
usually for me,
one Twilight Zone's only like 22 minutes,
right?
So I get that.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's something we should do, Jackie. We should start going through the entire catalog of the Twilight Zone. Except, I think it's one of the seasons is not on Netflix for some asinine reason.
All right.
But that was such a classic show.
So, what is everybody's? I mean, trying to stay enough. I really think we've basically said everything that needs to be said about Teen Wolf,
I think
realistically. But to stay roughly around that topic, what is your guys' normal Halloween? Okay, once a year, these are the movies I'm kind of looking forward to watch. At least if it's once a year. Do you have a list, Mark?
Oh, if I'm gonna pick one to watch once a year at Halloween time, it's gonna be the Bela Lugosi Dracula.
Oh, nice, classy. I can respect that. Shadow.
Trying to think.
You only have-
I would try to pick a different one each time, but I would go that route just because it's yeah. I think I'd have to go that route too. Although I'd start with Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's my favorite. Nightmare Before Christmas is a good one. We have watched that when he was
Christmas
younger.
movie.
Yeah, I know. But I
That's
like
the tradition, man.
I like the idea of watching it around October to get into the whole holiday season, because for me, I really do run my life in 2 6-month intervals. That's starting September 15th all the way through February 15th. That's the holiday season, and the day after Valentine's Day all the way up until September 14th is spring and summer for us. Mostly because it's hot or cold here. That's it. You get 2 choices. It was 80 degrees last week. Now it's 60. And it's going to go down into the 40s. It's going to go down into the 40s in the mornings and evenings. And for me, that sucks.
Yeah, I know.
I know you probably got snow and shit like that.
Yeah,
I am
you
right
know,
there
But
with
it's
you, Mark.
it's so drastic. We don't get a spring and we don't get a fall
right.
here.
It's really hot, and then all of a sudden, it's cold now.
Yeah. I mean, you have literally, like 24-hour notice.
No, that's exactly it. Just last week, I was coming home sweating, all that stuff, and then today, well, not today, it technically was last night. I go out walking out for like an hour or so, and it's freezing.
Yeah, we don't get much time to acclimate. Let's put it that way.
What's freezing there? That's my question. What do you
40.
He
consider
said
40.
40. He said 40.
He
Yeah.
said 40. That's freezing.
Well, when
I
it was 80 and 90 yesterday, and now it's 40, you don't get that opportunity to get used to it. You know what I mean? You just don't.
I get
and when
that.
it's,
I get that.
especially when it's
That's not
90 and
also-
110.
We're
It was
just-
110 last month.
We're just busting your chops because we're jealous because we get a couple years ago we had the polar vortex. Remember, Connell?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was
And,
negative 40 or something.
You see, normally Halloween is literally the day that you have to start wearing sweaters and stuff. Okay. This year though, it went till in the 20 something, and it was still warm and nice and stuff. Even a little hot. And now all of a sudden, this year's been a really weird year for weather here, and we do get snow, and sometimes we actually get rain. But it's so hard getting used to. It's so quick,
Yeah, I know. We're just jealous, so we're gonna bust your chops about it. That's all.
It's just. I mean, Illinois. I don't know about. I imagine what we have in Illinois, you have in Indiana. There's been a few times where, like Thursday, it was in the high 80s. That night we have a quick frost over, and it's like almost negative 10. It does it that damn.
So you know what I mean? That you could not, if you don't pay attention, you go out in shorts, and suddenly what the hell?
Yeah.
Well, that's Midwest for you. It's
Yeah.
bipolar at best. But so Jack, going back to you pick what movie do you look forward to watching every Halloween?
I don't really watch any specific movie Halloween. I really
Yeah,
watch.
we really don't watch it. We really don't spend the kind of time people used to around a TV. Everybody's got their own device. We've got Netflix, we've got Amazon, and it really takes something special. You know, for us, the only thing that we can say as a family that we've done that with was Stranger Things. That was like a big enough deal to where, you know, we even tried watching Supernatural, and we made it about halfway through season 1, and then everybody else had other things to do. You know, just
Supernatural has the best soundtrack. I don't care what anybody say about the rest of the
Blue
show.
Oyster Cult, Hell House.
Yeah.
Dude, you don't need to tell me. As a matter of fact, hold on, let me show you something.
CCR, Bad Moon Rising, Kansas, Wayward Son. I just
Oh, come on, don't even get me started on those guys. If you ever there's a video out there on YouTube. If you look up Kansas doing Wayward Son live, one of the musicians, I don't know his name because I wasn't that big on Kansas, but one of the musicians, he's like playing the bongos, playing the keyboards. He's doing all this shit, running from instrument to instrument, back and forth. That little guy, oh my God. What is it with really short guys and musical talent? It's just not fair. But check this out. Can you make me big?
do I look like I own a Viagra company?
I knew that's
Hey,
right.
I'm not a lawyer. We went through this already. Oh man, you can't even see. Okay, there we go. You see this mini? It's a Reaper miniature. Okay.
Okay.
No, your camera
You see
quality
the
is
symbol?
broken.
You see the miniature, the symbol on top of his staff?
Yeah, it's the blue. I know what it is. Yeah.
Okay. Well, when you buy this miniature, this is actually inverted so that they didn't get in trouble. So I had to carefully cut it off here, pin vise, drill a hole through this part right here, and then pin it onto this staff so I could make it the Blue Oyster Cult symbol. But not only that, but I painted him. If you're a Blue Oyster Cult fan and you know the album Fire of Unknown Origin, the cultists are dressed in these colors. Why they're not all wearing blue, I don't know, and why it's this weird beige color. But I specifically went out of my way to make this guy a Blue Oyster Cultist. And I'm just about finished with it.
You also have it tattooed on your hand or arm or something.
What?
They
you have
had-
a tattoo of it.
What you asked why the short guys had to be so musical talented. Omen answered they had to become talented to get the girls.
Gotcha. Well, like Ronnie James Dio, Davy Jones, you know, so what was his name?
Prince.
Yeah. There was another guy back in the day. His last name was Anderson. He was really talented. Paul Anka, guys like that. You know, back in the not even my era, but so many of them were just like amazingly talented. I mean, not just a little talented, but just.
Oh wow, that Wesley! I have to say,
Wesley Harold? Oh, never mind. Richter?
yeah, no,
his Halloween picks.
Critters 1 and 2, I can give you. Gremlins
What
1
about
and 2,
Chud?
yeah. What?
Chud. I'm surprised Chud's not on that list.
Oh, CHUUD or whatever the hell it's spelled. Yeah, I remember that movie. Yeah, but no, I like his. I like.
But
his
you got to add They Live and what was the other one I was thinking of? Still.
But no, the fact that he has Nightbreed and Attack of the Killer Tomatoes on his list.
People Under the Stairs. That's what I was thinking.
Oh man, that was a rough movie.
They can't all be winners.
That was a rough movie. Anyways, no, his collection. I have to say for mine though, My favorite Halloween movie that I watch every year would have to be The Crow with Brandon Lee.
No, I thought of one, and you guys are going to laugh your asses off. But The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Disney.
That's not bad.
That's a great cartoon.
That's good. That is a classic Disney holiday cartoon.
That is great.
I can't.
That is one of their best. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a great.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the Johnny Depp's version, but for different reasons.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, you get wholesome and you get scary in one movie. You get a classic story, and you get a mystery.
You know, I've been to Sleepy Hollow.
Really?
Me and my ex-wife were driving up from Florida up to Maine, and we passed by the Sleepy Hollow. I was kind of hoping like some small town out of Indiana feel to it. No offense, Mark, but that's kind of what I was expecting, wanting, right? No, it wasn't. It was disappointing, but it was interesting to actually go there.
It changed with the times, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But Indiana doesn't. Sorry.
Man.
I mean,
just body blow, man.
I can take it. It's all right.
I live in Illinois, so it's not like we're much better.
Yeah.
You've been to Chicago. That doesn't count.
I did study in Chicago, so yeah.
There's a handful of towns here in Illinois that will never change.
All right. So you did movies. I got one for you. A song. Other than Monster Mash.
Oh.
Other than Monster Mash.
Other than Monster Mash?
Yeah.
Ooh. CCR, Bad Moon Horizon.
Okay. That's a good one. I didn't think of that, but yeah, that's an appropriate one. If it would, what about you, Shadow? Halloween theme song that you got to hear at Halloween time, other than Monster Mash.
That is so easy, but unfortunately, it's a song I know none of you guys have ever heard. It's called "Feel the Thunder" by Blue Oyster Cult. It's about three bikers that on October 31st, they're doing what bikers do, drinking and stuff, and they crash and become ghost riders. It's kind of cheesy. The chorus, is a little repetitive, but that's what I liked about Blue Oyster Cult so much is the stories. Their songs weren't, boy meets girl, I'm famous, look at me, that kind of crap. We'll get to you, Wesley. That's a good one. But their songs are all, ballads in the sense of that they are a story. And for me, growing up as a kid, already playing D&D and looking for that kind of thing instead of, the typical crap on the radio, you get some substance that you can take away. And that band, for me, there's so many elements that I picked up from Blue Oyster Cult that I could drop into games, as, throwbacks and stuff that just really, were creative, not just, musically, but the lyrics were had so much story to them, in 4 or 5 minutes, and you get this full thing. You could have just taken that one song and turned it into a big ass movie. And not a lot of bands other than maybe Iron Maiden, Rush to a lesser extent, maybe a few other bands out there, maybe even Yes and
Queen.
Yeah, I don't.
You might not like them,
but they had a lot of sort of what I call brag songs, where they're just talking about how awesome they are, and I don't do that. If you need to write a song and tell me how awesome you are, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm sorry.
Highlander, the original Highlanders soundtrack. Queen did an amazing job.
Yeah. I'm not going to deny their talent and all that goes with that, but you
Is that what you're gonna say?
There, yeah, there's so many. Every one of their albums will have a couple of love songs or songs like that really don't tell a story. In my opinion, you have to go look hard and far and wide to find that with some of the other bands, especially Blue Oyster Cult. They have maybe one every other album, and Don't Fear the Reaper. That's one of their most famous love songs, and it's not a love song.
I never thought that was a love song.
Right, no, but people consider it one, but those people are usually critics, and critics can't, tell their ass from a hole in the ground.
What about you, Jack? Halloween song other than Monster Mash?
I don't know. I don't really listen to that much seasonal music.
You'd be amazed what he listens to. It's pretty obscure stuff.
Yes, I listen to like 1800s, like mid 1800s, early to mid 1900s, as well as Tally Hall. That's
what about who composed the under the mountain I can't think of the title properly.
Wagner.
Hall of the Mountain.
Yeah, Hall of the Mountain. Yeah.
Yes, that one.
Okay, I'm gonna go. For me, I love it. It's cheesy. I love it. But Werewolves of London, Warren Zevon.
Oh yeah. Oh,
that's a good one. Yeah. That's a good one. I actually heard Purple People Eater the other day.
That's another one. Yeah. But anyways, I'm gonna have to leave with that, guys. I gotta get ready to head to work here in a couple of minutes. But
thank you for joining us. Now remember, next week we will be talking about the correct me on the year, early 80s or late 70s.
70 Halloween 1, the original.
Halloween 1.
78.
98?
78.
Wait, 78. All right. The one movie, that movie, we'll be doing that next week. And then going into November, it will be your choice. So please start thinking about what you're wanting us to do for homework. And I hope you and your family have a good week. And thank you for joining us.
All right. Thanks, guys. And
take care. Man.
I don't know if you found it or not. If you get the red box, the things outside of Walgreens, whatever, you can rent the videos from.
Yeah.
They have an app, and you can get the 1978 movie for free to stream via the Redbox app. So
I'll have to look for that one.
If anybody needed to know that or whatever. So, but I'm out of here, guys. Thanks for having me. Fun talk.
Anytime, man.
All right.
Have a great week.
All right, you too, guys. Bye-bye.
Wesley, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen Rocky Horror and been part of the cast and not as Riff Raff.
Really? I can see you playing Riff Raff.
I didn't play Riff Raff.
Were you Rocky?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I wish I didn't ask that. I was hoping you would say no. Yeah,
I was 14 and, looked a lot different than I do now, obviously. And, it was a incredibly weird time. And we got our tickets every Friday night. We'd go to KEZY, and Cassandra herself, the Mistress of the Dark, Elvira, and her chauffeur,
she's hot.
personally handed me tickets every Friday for 2 years to Midnight at the Movies at the Orange Mall, and it was an interesting time. Every Friday after school, we raced down to the radio station. There she was, looking nothing like Elvira. We didn't always go see Rocky Horror, but we kind of did, take advantage and we'd watch Rocky Horror and then sneak into one of the other movies, Heavy Metal, Song Remains the Same, Pink Floyd, The Wall, Wizard.
I've actually never seen that one.
Which one? The Wall?
The Wall.
It's definitely something you should see once. Jackie would really like it because it's very political. The movie,
I
And
just haven't
it's
been
very
able to get my hands on a copy or find a copy of it. It's been on my list. That with the there was another one by the Who, the Pinball Wizard was another one I've been wanting to watch. Tommy. And it's hard to come by. I mean, that's
Yeah,
just what it breaks down to.
It really is. Some of these streaming services really should have some of the old movie rock operas available, but I really haven't looked because, I like I said, I used to have it on Laserdisc, so I've seen The Wall hundreds of times, and I was never a huge Pink Floyd fan until years and years and years later, and even then, they're not on my top 10 list of favorite bands. Like the Grateful Dead, I really couldn't get into them either. I respect them for their career, etc., but it really wasn't my style. And
I know I said this before, but I think music is a very perspective thing. Everybody has their own jam that they really enjoy.
absolutely.
Figure that out the hard way, yes.
I mean, when Jack was talking about the style of music he likes, I'm right there with you, Haas. I prefer operas over most modern music these days.
The weird thing
Because-
Not me, man. If there's no electric guitar, I'm out.
If I could find an opera that uses modern instruments like electric guitar, would you listen to it?
Oh, you know what I do? Instead, I listen to Judas Priest. Rob Halford, the singer, was an opera singer before he went into
You know
metal.
what? I'll give you that one. Meatloaf is basically opera in a sense.
Yeah, Meatloaf was incredible, and Carla DeVito. Oh dear God, I could watch her all freaking day. And she actually sang on a Blue Oyster Cult album or two, which was also wonderful. My God, she was just absolutely one of the most perfect women to ever walk the face of the earth. And how she could hook up with Meatloaf, I don't know, but there's hope for everybody out there if that's a thing.
I don't know if I said it here, but I know I've said this. Love is not blind; it's mildly retarded.
I prefer that it's blind, deaf, dumb, and lobotomized. But
So really quick, I want to welcome Omanal to our show. He is definitely hasn't been his first time here, and hopefully it won't be his last time here.
welcome, buddy.
Well, I mean, it's been forever.
It's only been 2 weeks.
I know. That's what I'm joking about. Now, you guys are talking about the movie, and the one that I can think of that I love. Also tying in with last night for the sci-fi, Dark City. I love Dark City from
Never seen
Halloween.
it.
It's been Kai's even here. Holy shit.
Also, wow, we're just having part 2 of last night, man.
I'm sorry for missing your show. I do want to apologize. Sorry for missing your show last night. Just busy. I thought I could lay down for like 20 minutes and be right back up, but that wasn't the case.
Get some
Yeah.
sleep.
Why do you lie to yourself, man?
No, Shadow. If you watch Dark City, I think that you'll really enjoy it if you've never seen it.
It's a good movie.
Let me put it on the list from last night
Sure.
because everybody keeps talking about that one.
It's part of it is that it explores some things of what makes up a soul, and it's got the little creepy things wandering around. I enjoy that, but the other one, I'm just flipping through what I have in my HBO Max stuff in here. How can we forget Spawn? I mean,
Spawn is a Christmas movie.
Well, so is Gremlins. I mean, come on.
I will. That was the hill I will die on. Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
See, I hate saying this. Is during the holidays, I used to starve because my mother made terrible turkey, and it's like, I was like, well, do we have any food? And she's like, we've got turkey, and I'm like, ugh. And so I have a lot of negative feelings for food from that aspect. Oh, really? Who's Mark's genre mixer?
He was just
Mark,
here.
he was here.
It's Mark.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, okay. I was like, okay, sometimes people keep changing their name. It doesn't help.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Connor, yeah, freaking DM James. What the hell, man?
But no, all joking aside, yeah. Next week we're doing Halloween. If you want to join us, I don't think anybody here, including Mark, would say no to you joining us.
No, I mean I liked the original Halloween
That's the one we're talking about.
with what Donald Glover.
Yes.
I liked him as
No.
the actor, and he was the psychiatrist. I thought he did a very good job.
Oh, right. I'm thinking of somebody else, but yeah.
I always liked him in whatever movie he was in. I liked the original Halloween, and then I also liked the original Friday the 13th.
No, when it was just mom.
Oh yeah, give it away right there.
If you don't know, it's mom by now.
Well,
That's
Well,
not my fault.
I mean, if Jack is watching,
Well,
these,
we
don't
don't.
give away the end.
Yeah, we've never
watched,
seen it.
I watched so many videos about horror movies and kill counts and whatever that I know what happens in almost all of the major horror movies.
It's like going
Even
to go
the
see
dumb
Passion.
Jason Goes to Space one.
I mean,
Yeah.
at the juncture of time, it's like going to Passion of Christ, the Mel Gibson version of the Bible, not knowing how it ends.
You know what was funny is my friend.
You just
drove me
say the
to that
Mel
one.
Gibson version of the Bible.
Well, no, not really. It's here's the thing that gets me about it is we went there early, and I was picking up on women, and my friend is horrified. I'm like, dude, I'm bored. You got here an hour early. I just wanted
You're
you to
going
think
to see a
this
movie
could happen.
about Jesus and you're picking on women. Why aren't we living closer? I mean, you'll be my.
Omen, this is for you, man. Omen, 2 thumbs up, man.
You know what? Here's the thing. If I'm bored and I don't really care, that's the only time I seem to have luck. It's whenever like I'm interested in, like, no, we should just be friends. I'm like, thanks, screw you. No, what are some other great ones? I mean, sorry, once you guys went off of this, because I've never seen Teen Wolf, so I was like, all right, I'll just listen in bits and pieces. But there are a lot of really good, I think, the original horror films that came in there, and then they just like Hollywood is nowadays, learn when to stop. You know, when you're, some sequels are okay, but once you get past about 2, they usually tend to go downhill pretty fast.
Actually, the last 2 Halloween movies, Halloween Kills and this last one that just came out, aren't that bad. If you just watch the first one, Halloween Kills, and the current one, so there's really only 3 that you need to watch. They're really good. I like their depiction of Michael. Yeah. So
Well,
I'm not going to say anything else until next week.
Why did I say Donald Glover? Is it Donald Pleasant? Maybe is the right one. I can never remember.
Yeah, because
Yeah. It is Donald Pleasant.
I liked that a lot. The other thing, and this is what gets me, is some of the original ones like those, they're not supernatural. That's what gets me about it. It's only whenever they start really going into like the second and third one that they really start. Well, okay, now we've got to make it so it's unkillable and things like that. And I'm going, you know what? The originals were so much better because, you had Jamie Lee Curtis, who was not a super, hero trying to fight him off. And you're like, oh, okay. A big guy could survive everything that she did to him.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean,
What if-
Friday the 13th, Halloween.
What ever happened to
Amityville
Freddy?
Horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, Poltergeist.
Poltergeist, I think, is another good one for that. I mean, there were a lot of, I think, really good 70s films. I mean, just like you were talking about the Invasion of the Body Snatchers last night.
Oh, wait. The old one with Christopher Lee?
All of them.
No,
All of them? Okay.
all of them. Well, I think the 1970s, I think, is the one I like the best. If you go to the 1950s, who was that? Who was in that one?
Christopher
I don't
Lee
even
was
remember.
in the 1950s. Nimoy was in the 1985s. or
Donald
80s.
Sutherland was the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
There
mean,
was a recent one within the last 20 years with the Nicole Kidman in it.
Yeah, there's been a couple of them in the. What gets me about it is they're all standalone, so they just keep remaking. And some of these are really good ideas. I just I think that that's sometimes the problem. And all of a sudden they come out like, oh well, we've got this really cool idea. And some of the films I think have done just much better by not having any sequels because they can stand by themselves and they don't need any more.
I think movies like The Invasion of the Body needs to be remade probably about every 30 years. And there's a reason why I say that is the technology of making the movie gets better, with that much time.
Well, but whoa. Let me stop you right there. You don't need anything for that movie except the pods. That's it. Everything else is
Just
acting.
the pods. The pods.
And,
I think
and I can make pods in my studio here with paper mache, and they're gonna be just fine. They don't need to be, something out of Alien per se. All they need to be is just, gigantic, pods.
I'd also be interested on how one of the movies I'm remembering, the aliens was the alien that basically takes over the body or makes a duplicate body was no bigger than like a the weed that you blow and the little pods go flying in the air.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean like,
Dandelion.
there's Dandelion. The other one I can think of that's huge are cattails. Have you ever seen
Yeah,
those?
but they were like no bigger than that. They'd land on a person. They'd find a way into said person.
No, it's got to be the big, gigantic, zucchini looking thing. That's all you need. The way they did that, because that way when the truck scene with them on it makes more sense. You can see it. It's easy. You're like, oh crap, they're just going to start handing these out. The first one is all you need. The other ones were okay and pretty terrifying to, Donald Sutherland when he does that face at the end. Dude, that was.
I saw the 1950s version, and of course they're kind of cheesy. But the 1970s, looking back on some of these, everyone knocks the special effects, but I'm like, they just need a little tweaking. In most cases, the problem that I found nowadays is that the special effects artist puts too much into it so you can watch it so they can make their money instead of leaving so much to that imagination. Because that's where that all comes into.
Exactly. And like I was saying last night with the black and white aspect, that leaves so much more to your imagination. You have to fill in so much more. There's so much mystery and unknown is where fear comes from. That is the essence of fear.
I will not argue that. I completely agree.
If I actually made movies, I would make them in black and white. I'd say, screw it, we're doing black and white. People don't like it, too bad. We'll go watch something else.
To be honest, anything you made and I watch would be in black and white. So,
are you black and white or just red green colorblind?
What?
Are you true colorblind or just red green colorblind?
I am true colorblind. The only color I can see is red. Other than that, it's just black and variations of gray and whites.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. It's because I've seen a lot of people that have different styles of colorblind.
I mean, I actually just saw a movie not that long. I was on Disney Channel, Werewolf by Night, which was really good. It was really good. I was told that the show was filmed as like the old classic werewolf movie and all that, black and white. And the only thing that popped up red was a emerald, or not emerald, but a ruby. And it was the only thing that was red in the entire movie. And I'm like, I asked somebody, but I was like, yeah, they filmed in black and white. And the only thing when it was red. I'm like, and they're like, so is that what your vision is like? I'm like, yeah, pretty much.
Was that based on the comic book?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It had Man-Thing in it.
What's that?
It's a Disney Plus. I don't actually expect you to watch it, Shadow, but it was actually really good for what it was. It was like 30 minutes. That's it, 30 minutes. And it was really well done.
Well, some of the old stuff, like, what was it? Cat People or something like that?
Oh, Stephen King's Cat People or Sleepwalkers?
No. I'm talking about in the 1930s where they're where the guys they did a 1985 version, I think, also, or
right.
something like that. But I'm talking about the old black and white when you start looking at it, and yeah, it's a little cheesy nowadays, but in some ways, I like the atmospheric aspect, like Shadow's talking about, of the black and white, because it creates this stark contrast, and you can use shadows so much better. And you can do that in color, but it requires so much more effort. Like I said, I think Dark City does a fantastic job for that, but a lot of times Ford is they shoot it in color just because that's what they're used to doing, not that they're thinking of every shot as it goes from one to the other. And I think that's where black and white really does well, is most of those directors knew exactly what they were looking at and how they wanted to film it.
That's fair. I mean, you can't.
That's what made, that was one of the reasons Twilight Zone was so successful, because it was taking advantage of the medium and these great stories that didn't need a lot of special effects.
I'm going to bring the other part is the original Twilight Zone I thought was excellent. I remember growing up as a kid, not seeing it and seeing the 1980 version.
Oh, with Dan Aykroyd.
No, it was actually
William Shatner.
No, you're thinking of the movie. I'm talking about when they brought it back to CBS in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't the same, and I think part of, like you said, is the color. I will say what was really good in the 90s for some of the aspects, because I think that they asked very similar questions the Twilight Zone did originally, was the Outer Limits in the 1990s. I thought was fantastic. I don't know if
what did you think of Tales from the Dark Side?
Oh, Tales of the Dark Side was another one that and I liked the aspect of where they had the what's it called, the ethical questions sometimes that they had from there, and they didn't give you a specific answer, and it's like, and that's what I think is the problem nowadays, is that they act like the audience is so immature that they have to be told the answer instead of sitting down and saying, you know what, let me think about this for an extra 40 or 45 minutes after the show is over.
To be fair, a lot of the audience is that immature.
Well, you say they're that immature, but yeah, you are when you first watch it, but then you go back and watch it over and over again. It reminds me of, it doesn't matter what movie it is, great comedies or anything else. Every time you watch the movie, you get something new. If I watch the movie the first time and then I watch the second time and I feel like I've got nothing new, that tells me it was a bad movie.
I mean, okay. Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite movies, it's not a Halloween movie by any stretch of imagination, but one of my favorite movies is, I don't know if any of you guys seen it, Boondock Saints.
I've seen it long ago.
It's a St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to get drunk, have a couple beers, throw something on TV, and laugh. I mean, it has one of my favorite comedians in it, Billy Connolly. If you don't know who that is, shame on you. Because he is an amazing comedian and actor. He has now got Parkinson's, and he's up there in years. Yeah, and he is retired from the stage, but he is one of the funniest comedians in the last forever. He is one of my favorites. He's up there with Ron Williams.
Have you guys? I don't know if you guys watch foreign movies. Have you watched the Russian movie called Night Watch?
Yes, 1 and 2.
Day Watch was bad, but Night Watch was fantastic, I thought.
I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying I watched it.
No, I watched it too, and I went. It was such a letdown because you could tell that they stopped going for the story like the first one.
Yeah,
I'm like, you can have less special effects if you have a great story, but special effects don't save a movie.
No, it really does. I mean, going back to the classics, The Mummy, hell, The Bride of Frankenstein, Frankenstein, The Creature from the Black Lagoon. There was very little modern effects in it. It was mainly Hollywood magic, practical magic, and good storytelling. And that's it. That's what made those movies so great. Good, And
it wasn't just that though. It's you got to give it up also to the style of acting. The way people acted back in the day was a lot different. Not just the slang and things like that, but just the entire style of, and not just acting, but the way people were. They were. I guess old-fashioned will work, for lack of a better term, but they had something about them that made you, get behind them.
The old theatrical, you can tell if they're theatrically trained. They had been used to being in the theater, and it's funny people talk about, well, this person's overacting. Anyone that's watched Jack Nicholson knows that he overacts, but. And the same thing with a lot of these, but that's why you watch them, because they hold your interest for so long right there. And I think like Bela Lugosi, and I know I was talking to Ye Old Geek, when you have foreign actors with that speech and they're talking about it, Boris Karloff, which is what did he do? He was in The Mummy too, wasn't he? Boris Karloff, was Bela
Frankenstein,
Lugosi
The Mummy.
Yeah, Bela Lugosi could speak English, but he never tried losing his accent as much. Boris Karloff worked on his ability to speak English as an English actor, and that made the big difference for him, and why he had much better success than Bela Lugosi. And I think that was part of it. And those are always great.
As much as I like, don't get me wrong, as much as I like Gary Oldman's version of Dracula, don't get me wrong, I don't like the movie. I just like his variation, the way he played Dracula. I will always give it back to Christopher Lee as my favorite Dracula.
Same here.
The Hammer films, all of them. I mean, what was it? I mean, it's not even that they had that many actors. If you look at it, a lot of them only had 5 or 6 different actors in the whole movie. But the Hammer films, I loved watching those as a kid, and I'm not saying they were that scary. It's just they drew you in to watch, and I think that's part of the problem is they want to try scaring you, like you were talking about with jump scares. It gets tiring all the time. Not everything has to be a jump scare to scare you. I also want to think about when I get home, what are these things that are coming into my mind about the deeper implications, which is what makes Invasion of the Body Snatchers so good. Was it's insidious and it comes into it, and if you fall asleep and
Well, I saw a movie years ago. I don't remember what the movie was called, but the concept was the guy was a serial killer, and what he would do was he would get into the back seat of your car and lay down flat. Then that's how he got you. So when I got out of the theater, I didn't think anything of it. I went out and got some food, and when I got into the car, once I got in the car out of the restaurant, the first thing I did was check the back seat. Not that I actually think anybody was there, but it was just like,
Oh yeah. Oh well. I mean, those are things to get. I mean, if we really want to talk about it, and I don't know if it's considered a horror film or not, Silence of the Lambs.
It is considered a horror movie, but it's more of a psychological horror movie, not a jump scare like movies that we talked about. But it's still considered a horror movie because of what he did. And I'm not talking about Hannibal Lecter. I'm talking about the Buffalo Bill.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, but those are the ones that last. Like I said, if you look at the original, I know we're going to talk about this next week. The original Halloween. I mean, the fact that you had Donald Pleasance in there, to me, that's what really elevated that movie. Was him talking about Michael Myers. It does, and you go like, oh, okay. The same thing with, and you can say, okay, there's more there. I think that's part of it that's coming into it, and I do like those desperation. Oh, if we were speaking about it, not that anyone's mentioned it, what about Omen?
Oh wow, yeah.
Well, The Exorcist.
Yes, well, I saw The Exorcist. I was like, but the Omen, the original one, I enjoyed a lot. Now it didn't really scare me, but I liked the idea of they adopt this little kid and. What does he do? He injures his mom, just bicycling. You're like, wait a minute. And I mean, that was the
classic is great. I like the remake only because of Julia Stiles in it, to be completely honest. I thought she was hot. But no, I agree. Omen is a good movie. I mean, there's a list. There really is. I won't say a laundry list, but there is a list of really good Halloween-ish movies. I mean, Wesley brought up Aliens. The first Alien, you didn't see the monster until like the third half of the movie.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, Well, even if you look at Aliens, it's like the first half of the movie. There is no alien anywhere in there.
Right.
They talk about it. I guess you can count the face huggers as they walk in, but there's no
Right.
action for like the first hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah. I also like quotable movies, to be honest.
Well, I think we all do for that. I just
I mean, I am that kind of nerd. How do I get out of this chicken shit outfit? Hey, look into my eye. Right here. You know. Game over, man. Game over.
I still love. Why don't we just make a fire and sing Kumbaya?
I mean, even most recently, with Guardians of the Galaxy with Rocket the Raccoon. And they're all agreeing to do something. And he's like, oh, yeah, we're all staying around in a circle like a bunch of jackasses. That's just great. But back to Halloween. Yeah, I there is a series of good books out there that will get you going. But I think when it comes to theater of the mind versus medium, visual medium, I think it really depends on the person. I can understand where if you're reading, like if you're back in the era when Frankenstein or Bram Stoker's Dracula came out, they're absolutely terrifying.
Well, and I almost hate saying this, is there's an eroticism to Bram Stoker's Dracula. I mean, there really is. But when you get into Frankenstein, that to me was more of a question. That was one of those deep philosophical questions. But it's funny what people think how Frankenstein is versus what the book is. The book never actually explains on how he created Frankenstein. So you have all sorts of abilities to go from there.
And a lot of the movies have pushed every other direction on how he made the monster.
I thought that what was the one by was it Brano, where he did it with was it Al Pacino? Not Al Pacino.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're talking. That one was
with Robert De Niro.
Yeah,
Robert De Niro.
I thought he did a good job there.
Believe it or not, my favorite Frankenstein movie is The Bride with Sting.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was expecting you to say, young Frankenstein, but
Nope.
Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Nope. The Bride was incredibly powerful for me.
Yeah, that movie was rough.
I never saw that one.
Really?
I mean, the true monster in the
monster was
movie.
The monster was Sting, Frankenstein. The doctor was the monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That flipped everything. It flipped it all on his fucking ear. I felt sorry for the creation of the monster. I mean, it really, if you haven't seen it, that needs to be on your list of movies to watch if you could find it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know if you guys saw it. I actually liked Penny Dreadful.
So did I.
Yeah, there were things about it I liked, but there were a couple of things that I couldn't sit through anymore. So
I love Eva Green. Eva Green is my I love her to death. There's not a movie that she's
wasn't Billy Piper in that?
Yeah. I didn't care for that whole thing where they went. There are certain parts where you're going, okay, I know you're trying to do Dorian Gray, but I don't really care about that section. But Billy Piper was the Bride of Frankenstein in that.
I think so. I think that it's been a while.
I think that was her fate. Yeah, I like the guy who played the werewolf. The guy, the old gentleman with the manservant. I thought he was a really good actor. Dalton.
Timothy Dalton. Well, Timothy Dalton was one of those that I did not like him in James Bond.
Oh, he was a horrible.
Really,
Bond.
I did.
But I liked him in a lot of his other films, especially. I mean, if you're going to talk about it, as Hot Fuzz.
Flash Gordon. Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon's a classic.
I was thinking Hot Fuzz because he makes fun of himself through the whole thing.
I do appreciate an actor that's willing to poke fun of himself.
I don't know if you got. I don't know, Shed, have you seen Hot Fuzz?
No.
I was about to say probably not. I saw it when it came out, It's from the same people who did Shaun of the Dead.
I saw that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the whole thing of where everyone starts dying, and he's a police officer trying to figure out why, and he has this big long explanation of why they're doing it, thinking it's about money, and then you find out it's just purely it's for a completely different reason, which is of course completely silly. But I loved it for the whole thing. I enjoyed that one. But yeah, Timothy Dalton's done a good job. He did a good job in Doom Patrol.
Yeah, I get that. I like Brendan Fraser's character in that one. Actually, I like the entire cat. Oh no, I don't like his daughter. I like the actress fine enough, but the daughter's just got to go.
I understand why they did it, but yeah, it doesn't work. Well, then again, Doom Patrol is more of tongue in cheek anyway. But the fact that Timothy Dalton can doesn't mind playing these parts, I always find interesting. And that's so yeah. I mean, those are things that I look at. I'm trying to think of what else. The other talk about a slightly horror one, which I enjoyed watching, but I wasn't really that scared. Was Carnival.
Never saw
HBO.
it.
HBO had it for 2 seasons.
Oh God, it was the show was based on a traveling circus during the Great Depression.
Yes.
And like the master of the circus, the one who basically told the head guy where to go. I don't think they actually ever showed what or who it was. It was an interesting show. It had the guy who played was the bad guy in the Highlander, something Brown.
Yeah, Clancy Brown.
Yeah, it was. And his second season, he had a real wow. Yeah, no, thank you for bringing that one up. I forgot about that one.
Like I said, as I get older, it's harder to scare me. So now I just look at things of things that horrify me rather than me being scared.
I've said this before, and it's weird. I got a little bit of crap of it. My seen all these movies as a kid, and so like you said, as you get older, it gets harder to scare you, right? So horror movies don't touch me. They really don't touch me. But if there's a possibility of it happening in real life, there's like the serial killer that killed people, got in the back seat. Those movies will freak me out. Titanic gave me nightmares. Not just because of the acting, but the actual being on the ship, had a dream where I was actually on the ship as it was going down. Pearl Harbor, being on the base of Pearl Harbor during the bombing the concept of it gave me nightmares. If it has happened in real life, or it has the possibility of happening in real life, those are the ones that fuck with me. Everything else is like, whatever.
Well, when I was Jack's age, I watched so many horror films, and I just laugh at the things that used to scare me, like giant rats and stuff. Like, well, I'll just keep my door closed so they can't come in here. Those kinds of things I just have to laugh at. But nowadays I like things that make me think. And like you said, is, how would the world actually become? Which was one of the reasons I loved, the old Twilight Zone and the Outer Limits. In the 90s Outer Limits, because they asked a lot of these questions, and those are they bring up a lot in there. But I don't know, I haven't seen The Mist. I've heard people talk about it.
Man, that would piss me off.
The ending is literally the worst thing.
Yeah, I'm right there with Jack. With that all being said,
what was the other one? If we're going to talk about 1980s horror, Werewolf of London and Freddy.
Yeah, I know, because I came down with the volume on.
What was the Nightmare on Elm Street?
During the 80s, the big ones were Chucky, Children's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th, also Hellraiser. There was a few of them, but those were really the ones that stuck out the most.
Yeah, Clive Barker did some of them, which I didn't even necessarily find scary, but I did. Speaking of which, talking about films that are good for October, I have to admit I still love watching Army of Darkness.
Oh, Bruce Campbell. I don't. I was thinking about that one, but realistically, The Crow is my all-time favorite Halloween movie.
I tried. People talked about it. I said it was okay. It just. I even had the comic at one point, and my friend at one of the cons actually sat down and talked to the artist in there. As he was signing his book, and the guy was very, very friendly. It's funny. The movie stars get all of the credit, and yet these guys who create the stories are kind of forgotten by a lot of the mainstream, unfortunately. I do find that kind of unfortunate. Though the guy who did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was awesome when I asked him to sign something for my son.
Yeah, no, that's true. I haven't had. There's a few authors out there that I'd love to meet. Jim Butcher with the Dresden Files is definitely top of my list. But I've met a few other ones. I've enjoyed the books over the years, and they're just really cool people. And just happy that anybody's reading their fucking books, to be honest.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that was how I took it. I could be wrong.
Well, I think that's one of the things that I look at some of the conventions. I know that I have, like, I'm wearing the shirt right now where they do some things where they were using the Egyptian gods. He put some of the stuff up there in Cthulhu, and he put some scenes up there where if you're familiar with the stories, you'll know exactly what it is. But if you're not, then it's kind of goes over your head.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to think of. There have been some really great films out there. I still think, though I'm not really sure if you consider it horror, because I never considered The Birds horror, but I did enjoy a lot of Alfred Hitchcock stuff.
He's considered the master of horror, so it has to be. With the Village of the Damned, Vertigo, Psycho, The Birds.
Now, Psycho was a really good one, and that was another one that they needed to learn when to stop.
Well, the Psycho, what was it? The Psycho, Silence of the Lamb, and Psycho, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was all based on Glendale, something like that. I can't think of his name offhand, but he was a real person. He did some horrible shit.
I've heard, looking up there. I mean, it's hard, and I think the other problem is, and I know this is, I think this is the other problem, is we're pretty big guys, so we're not quite as afraid of a lot of things that, say, a smaller person would be, like a woman or a child. Like my ex is like 110. That makes a huge difference when you start looking at threats. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you can fight, but it's not quite the same, which I also think helps sometimes with the stories.
I mean, well, let's go back to really quick. I do need to wrap this up soon.
Sure.
But I want to go really quick back to Chucky with a children's play. The only time, the children's play was scary because of the fact that he was a doll. He didn't, if some kid says he has nightmares or his doll isn't moving, you're not going to believe the kid. You're just thinking the kid has overactive imagination, and you don't see the little bastard coming. That, with the first one, made it. If they would have stuck child play one and not done.
Magic was far more interesting and scary when it comes to that sort of toy or doll kind of aspect of horror. I think the entire Chucky franchise. The only thing I liked about it was Jennifer Tilly, because I'll watch it.
The Bride of Chucky.
Yeah, but everything else about
it.
Yeah, I just, it's like, you know what? A 45 caliber bullet would have ended that movie in like 5 minutes.
Well, he was plastic, so the normal ways of killing somebody was out the window.
Yeah.
I mean, fire is always good. Fire is always a good standby. But no, I mean, you got a serial killer who practiced voodoo. Actually, that wasn't voodoo. That was hoodoo. Who transfers his soul to one of the most into a doll that is what is like the most popular doll on the market at that time.
My buddy.
Yeah.
I
The concept is horrifying. The guy who played Chucky, the voice actor, was great. He was Wormtail in the Two Towers. He's done a bunch of other movies.
Wormtongue. What the hell was his name? God, he was also in Dune.
No, the guy with the eyebrows. Those eyebrows
Yes,
killed you.
yes.
yeah.
Stephen Dorff.
Yeah. Brilliant actor,
Poor guy.
brilliant voice actor. I have nothing bad to say about the guy.
Oh, I think voice actors, a lot of them, do a great job for things when they can really, especially when they go over the top. I really do like that. But
Mark Hamill has to be one of the hands down. I know. If he kept his mouth shut, if he kept his damn mouth shut, he and a lot of people as a voice actor, if he would have kept his opinion to himself, which a lot of these fuckers need to do, he would still go down as one of the top 5, maybe top 10 best voice actors in the world.
which
To
one was
me,
this?
Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker.
Oh yeah. You know what? I love Mark Hamill, and then it's like, shut up, dude.
Him as playing the Joker in the Batman animated
But that's
series.
all he does. That's all he does. From Bill and Ted Strike Back to the Trickster and the Joker, they're all the same voice. Trust me, I know.
I'm not saying that he's not, but he's not the only person in
He's a
Hollywood.
one-trick pony.
But
when it
a lot
comes
of
to
these
voice
actors
acting.
are. Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson has gotten a lot of love for a long ass time, but he doesn't play anything other than himself. He didn't play
True.
the Joker. He played Jack
Not a fan of
Nicholson
him
in
either.
makeup.
Not a fan of Nicholson either.
I mean,
Nicolas fucking Cage. He plays Elvis.
well, Nicolas Cage has done a lot of, I don't know. You know, it's the person I look at that really blends in the most was, what was he? You all know from Star Trek 3, he played the Christopher Lloyd.
Oh God, yeah,
He was awesome.
Christopher
he's
Lloyd.
pretty talented.
I mean, he goes all over, and a lot of times I don't even recognize until after the fact that, oh, he was there, he did this. But I'm trying to think of some others. There are a few actors like that where you're like, wait a minute, he was in this and this and this and that.
Well, there was an era, and he's really one of the last of the eras where an actor was to be an actor, to be working in Hollywood, you had to be able to sing, dance, and perform. You don't, I remember in the 90s where
So
some actors,
Christopher Walken, then.
yeah, although he can't sing,
Oh, Christopher Walken can dance. That's his whole.
he can dance his ass off. But Lloyd, going back to Lloyd, man, everything. Watching him be a stoner and Taxi, to the evil judge in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, to Dr. Brown and Back to the Future, to
This is your opponent speaking. That was fucking classic in Star Trek.
Yeah,
probably one of my favorite roles of his.
he did a great job for that one. There are a few others that just blend in.
What was the story of his? So he was in the makeup chair for Star Trek 3 because he was playing a Klingon. And they kept fussing on how the rage was supposed to be, right? They kept fussing with it. He grabbed the clay, chucked it on his forehead, did just a few things, and says, "We're done." And I'm like, and I heard that story. Then I heard him tell the story. I'm like, oh my god, okay.
Speaking of which, if we're going to talk about something similar, Max von Sydow. Did you ever watch? I can't remember what the film is. It's a Swedish film where he decides to play chess with death.
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's an old black and white one. Let's see. I'll find it here. But I liked him how he did that. He plays an old knight that's going to die, and he has to play it. So the Seventh Seal.
Oh, the Seventh Seal. I think I've seen that actually. I liked him as Fester. I liked him in The Cuckoo's Nest, Clue.
Oh yeah, Uncle Fester. I completely forgot he was there.
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he was pretty good. He did a really good job
He was in the Dennis the Menace movie.
as Uncle Fester. That was pretty amazing.
But I hate to cut you short, Omen. I mean,
No, it's fine.
even you said, if we don't cut you off, we can keep going on and on.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
I don't have to pick up my son for another hour and a half because he's making a horror film right now.
Wait, how old is
Hey,
he?
good for him.
Wait, is this a first date or actual,
Well, this is. I hope not. Jeez, son, we have to watch this stuff. No, they have a film camp he took during the summer. And,
Awesome.
And so they did that. Well, they started doing it that they're going to do like every month, and I may just put them in it every other month to do different. Like they do a different film every month. And so this year, so this month, of course, is making a horror film, and he's always the only boy, and he's always so scared. And then I always tease him about the girls. He's like, "Shut up."
Man, I like that math. Being in a film thing or anything where I'm the only guy. I mean, your batting average has got to be great.
Oh, well, he's going to be in the forever friend zone. Unfortunately, is what I feel. But you know what?
Oh.
At least be around the girls for the moment, bud, so you can see how they really are, and then stop worrying about it. No, he did that. He did drama camp. He's very antisocial. And I said, I don't care. You can go whether you like it or not. And he's really enjoyed it because it allows him to break out of his shell.
I can appreciate that. I really do. But with all this being said, I want to thank the chat for being with us and talking about Teen Wolf and other horror movies. I personally think Teen Wolf is probably like I said, it's a really small subsection, but one of the better family-friendly werewolf movies out there.
Well, good.
And like I said to Shadow, me and Shadow talked about this earlier. It's a really small subsection for werewolf movies. With that being said, I want to thank chat for coming and hanging out with us. Max, sorry about Danger Beard and all that nonsense. And Omen out, you are always welcome to join us if we're talking about something something you like. Next week we are doing the Halloween movie, the original one. So I want everybody to watch it. And remember, the entire time you're looking at Michael Myers' mask and it's like, why does that look familiar? Because it's Captain Kurt. With that being said, Shadow, you got anything going on this week other than the normal stuff?
Just a crap ton of videos and chopping firewood. Yeah, that's what I'll be doing this week.
All right, Jack, I actually got homework for you. Jack.
Is he not there?
Oh, yes, I muted. Yes.
I got homework for you.
Oh, no.
All right. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. I want you to either wear a costume this coming Sunday, if you have one. I want you to do something Halloween-ish. That is more or less my only request from Uncle Connell, to do something Halloween-ish. I know you're a busy young person. I know you have a lot of responsibilities, and you and your dad are always busy. But it's Halloween. You're still young, so enjoy it.
Yes. I mean, right now I may be busy, but I'm not really spending my time wisely. I'm spending every living moment looking at Alex Bale films.
I will say this just for you, Jack, because I know you like bad films, but I still love the film. Is Spaced Invaders? For this
Oh God! Oh.
Well, I think this means it's time to end the show a couple seconds early.
Wait, what's wrong with you, Connell? You don't like Spaced Invaders?
You know what? That's fair. That movie was horrible, and I want Jack to carve a pumpkin out. That's really what I want him to do. I want him to get a pumpkin on the cheap and carve it out.
Hey, I stayed on the Halloween topic.
I was like, no.
No, if you can do a really
Technically, you
nice
did.
pumpkin. Hey,
What?
Jack, this is what I used to do when I was your age, and I don't know in what type of neighborhood you're in, but when I started getting your age, is I used to hand out the candy because my parents bought good candy, and so I used to have 2 bowls, one for the kids and another bowl for all the wrappers for all the candy I ate. So, so that's what I used to do when I used to hand it out. Anyway, you guys have
Shadow,
fun.
was there something I said there, Shadow, you disagree with?
No, I was laughing at Owen. I like that.
No, I just, like I said, Halloween's one of my favorite holidays. I have already carved out 3 pumpkins with my daughter.
Oh, you need to post pictures of those.
I would, but they got blown up.
Nice.
My daughter and me actually had a fair amount of fireworks left over from 4th of July, and we carved them out and blew them up.
You didn't film it?
I don't film anything if I don't have to.
Oh.
My daughter doesn't want to be on camera.
Well, you should just put her with a mask or something.
I might actually make her do another one this week
Okay.
because I'm that kind of dad. With all that being said, everybody have a good evening. Omen, thank you for joining us. I look forward to seeing you next Friday when we're talking about Halloween. It will be a stabbing good time.
You mean Sunday?
Sunday, that's what I meant. Sunday. Yeah,
Okay.
Sunday. I'm tired. It'll be a stabbing, slashing, great time. Remember, people, it is the season for beatings. With that being said, everybody have a good one.
Take care.
Night, everybody.
Wait, it's not night.
It's
somewhere.
Okay.
It's after 5 o'clock here.
I mean, look behind
I'm
Connell.
still
It's getting darker and